My name is Reveca Torres. I like to create art, and I also like to do advocacy work for people with disabilities. For a long time, I kept my art and my advocacy work separate. I started figuring out ways of using photography and art to tell stories or to talk about issues that are related with disabilities, to get people to care about some of the disability rights and disability justice work. Before my injury, I was a child and I lived with my parents, my siblings. I have 5 siblings, so there's a lot of us. We used to drive from Chicago all the way to Guadalajara, Mexico, every year to visit my grandma. I was injured at 13 years old. On our way back from that trip, there was a semi-truck that was passing another car and pushed us off the road. I was in the back, asleep, did not have a seatbelt on. Our vehicle rolled over several times, and when I woke up, I had broken my neck and also my lower back. Initially, after the injury, I think there's shock, there's adjustment period. On top of that, my parents are not native English speakers, so there was a barrier with language from getting me from Mexico back into the US for medical care, navigating insurances, navigating what diagnosis, what I would need, and adjusting my home, getting back to school. All of that was difficult for them and myself as well. I went back to school as a high school student, like starting high school, which that in itself is scary. But doing it as a newly injured person in a wheelchair, having that self-doubt and like not being sure about my self-image, and that was, one of the initial barriers. But my injury is at the C5 through 7 level. It's a cervical injury. I also have a lower injury at the T12 to L2, where I have a spinal fusion in both of those areas. My function level is what would be typical of a person with a C6 injury, where like I have very, very weak triceps, I have some wrist movement, and no finger function or grasp. I think one of the things that helped me sort of feel more like myself and gain confidence was meeting other people like myself. For a long time, I had the support of friends and family, and that's fantastic, but I didn't really know other people like myself. And at the age of 13, not having someone like that to talk to share experiences with can be hard. When I started to meet other people with disabilities, it kind of opened up my eyes to see that, there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of us struggling and a lot of us thriving, and maybe doing both of those things together at the same time. And it doesn't feel so isolating. One of my most surprising accomplishments, I think, has been starting Backbones and starting this nonprofit that helps people with spinal cord injuries and their families be able to connect with each other and be able to find the resources and that connection to not feel isolated. With my background being in art and theater, it was something I did not have experience in, or like business management or anything like that. So it was something that I took on, and it was a really, really big project, and I learned along the way, and I continued to learn and ask questions. I am constantly trying to learn new things. So one of the skills that I hope to continue to learn are photography and filmmaking. I also would like to, on the advocacy side, learn more about other people that are out there in the community and their work that they're doing, and finding ways to work together to make change, so that we're not all operating in our own little silos, that we can make change together. Some advice that I would give someone who's newly injured would be to seek out other people that have a similar injury. I did not want to consider myself someone that would be a wheelchair user for the rest of my life. And, if I would have done that a little bit sooner, I think I would have felt more comfortable with my body, with my confidence. A lot of times people see a wheelchair and think, oh, that person can't walk, instead of thinking, oh, that wheelchair is allowing that person to be free in the world and to get out of bed and to go out and have dinner with a friend or have a job. It's seen as a limitation rather than freedom. Yes, for a long time, walking was a goal of mine, but there are goals that have been much more important to me. You know, finishing school was awesome. Getting projects as a costume designer for a dance company and seeing my costumes on stage, traveling to another country and learning different cultures. I've gone scuba diving, I've gone surfing. My goals are not necessarily to walk again. My goals are to stay healthy, because a disability doesn't mean that I'm unhealthy. I take care of my body, I eat well, I exercise, I try and get rest because I don't rest very well, but doing all of these things to maintain my body in its optimal functioning level so that I have the opportunity to do the things that I love. I would love to see people with disabilities empowered to live the life that they want to live it in like the quality of life that they want. And that comes with empowering people in our community to become leaders, but it also comes with advocacy and awareness in communities and groups outside of us to understand that we have a place in the world and we are contributing members of society, and that we should be taken into consideration in all aspects of our society. And so I would love to see that, you know, with the work that I'm doing, that I can make some change outside of us, but also on an individual level where people are feeling empowered to live their lives.